Look, after the game, Devin Booker was asked, what did you think when he pulled up mid-range? He said, I thought we were in good shape. That's so disrespectful, Nick. You can score 47 points, and if the team is giving you the space to shoot it at the end, that tells you your game isn't where it needs to be. So disrespectful, but I love Devin Booker really being bold in what he's saying and what he's doing this year.
It was the best of times, it was the worst of times. This right here is one of the coolest things any athlete has ever done in a celebration. Half-cocked, tossing the Lombardi trophy. If Cameron Brate bobbles this, it sinks to the bottom of the sea, never to be seen again. That's the best of times. The worst of times is this, when Tom Brady is out here, frat boy wasted. Except here's the thing. Frat boys understand the importance, unlike Brandon and Jenna, Wilds gets it, of a good base. Gotta have some carbs there. You gotta have something to sop up the liquor. So your goat can have a couple Michelob Ultras or whatever he's drinking and all of a sudden not be able to walk. Meanwhile, my goat can drink bottles of wine on his way into the stadium and no one be any the wiser. So I'm just saying, it's a little different now that Tom Brady's no longer just competing with football players. He's competing with the greatest athlete ever. Get it together, Tom.
Me and Brady get wasted on half a glass of wine. We're the same. Here's something you guys may not know about me. I'm very superstitious. If I have almonds before show and I have a great show, it's almonds every show. If I'm wearing blue socks and I crush a workout, blue socks every single day. You know who's just like me, not apologizing for it? Sean Murphy Bunting. Sean told our Peter Schrager the other day that, get this, his Christmas tree is still up. Christmas tree still up. Why? Because the Bucs hadn't lost the game since that tree went up back in December. Christmas tree still up past Christmas. The social faux pas of faux pas, in my opinion. Christmas tree still up after Christmas because it is superstitious. I will offer you an almond or blue socks. I'm all in, my friend. I understand it. Like knows like. Off to you, Wilds.
All right, shout out to Justin Bailey, who posted this video, picked up by overtime. Myles Garrett playing a little pickup basketball. Turns out, you know, superstar athlete Myles Garrett, quite good at basketball. So it's got to be fun to play basketball with Myles Garrett. I think a little bit awkward choosing up teams if you look at the competition here. No offense, fellas. Like, all right, first pick, I'm gonna get Myles Garrett. All right, your pick. Like, I'll take Steve. Okay, you got Steve. All right, let's go. You gonna take Brian? Okay, you got Tyler.
Oh, stinks for Steve. All right, moving on now. All right, guys, earlier in the week, you remember Brandon dropped this on us. Russell Wilson might want out of Seattle. It's crazy since Russell Wilson is Seattle, but now there's a report from Dan Patrick saying the Seahawks, they're not happy with the way Russ is handling all this, and they use that dreaded word, we hate this word, unsustainable for the situation in Seattle. Brandon, this feels like it's going to get worse before it gets better, like my hair every morning. Is the relationship, Brandon, between Russ and the Seahawks sustainable?
Well, first, this isn't about Russell Wilson. This is about Pete Carroll. Going back to the Dan Patrick interview, that was scheduled a week prior from the NFL and the Seahawks because of the Walter Payton Man of the Year award. So it was like the perfect storm for that guy to go out there and be asked those questions. He had like 30-something interviews already set up. So what is the man supposed to do? He's going to be honest now because of what you guys haven't done. This is about Pete Carroll, not Russell Wilson. I love Pete Carroll. I love the Seattle Seahawks organization. I love John Snyder. Going back to their first year in Seattle, and when I was leaving the Denver Broncos, Pete Carroll called me. He said, "Brandon, I want you to come help me build this this franchise." I flew out there. They put me on the scene playing Misha and I. We flew around the stadium. They had our name up there, and then we sat down. He said, "I want you to come," and I didn't do it. I ended up going to Miami. It was a big mistake for me. But fast forward to my last cup of tea. My last cup of tea was with these guys. Absolutely love Pete. Love the way he leads. We talk about Bill Belichick all the time, but when you talk about great leaders, Pete Carroll stands right there next to Bill Belichick. It's like, pick which one do you want. I love Tell the Truth Mondays, where he gives everybody the opportunity to stand in front of the team and say, this is my complaint, so everybody can come together and then move forward together. I love when the energy he brings out to practice every single day. But with that being said, I do not like his stubbornness. I do not like that his inability to adapt. Like, we know who you are, but now you have to evolve. We know you want to play defense and play defense the way you've done it for a very long time. It worked back then, but it's not working right now. Offensively, we know what got you to those Super Bowls. We know what helped you win those national championships. We know that you went out there and you bet on Russell Wilson. But now what you have to do is say, you know, Russ, this is what you want. I have to believe in you. Because if you're telling this guy, I want you to hand it off first, second, and third down, I don't believe that you can stand back there and drop back 40 times if we give you the protection, then what you're telling this guy is that, you know, I don't believe in you. You're telling this guy and you're taking away his confidence. So until Pete Carroll radically changes philosophy, yes, Jenna, it's going to be unsustainable. Nick, think about this. Week 9, they were 6-2. What happened after Week 9? Pete Carroll signed a 4-year extension. Russell Wilson was leading the MVP race by far. His defense was on pace to be the NFL's worst defense ever. So some would say, who was behind that extension? Russell Wilson. So now you're telling us, oh, well, you can get me the extension, but I'm not willing to bet on you and give you what you need to lead this team and give you the keys to the franchise. It makes no sense to me.
So we got a real problem here, is what it sounds like, and one that, to Brandon's credit, Brandon was talking about a month ago, but Russell Wilson wasn't talking to anybody publicly, so it didn't pick up steam until Russell talked to the media, Russell talked to Dan Patrick, and then Dan Patrick furthered the story yesterday with his own reporting, which confirmed some of the stuff Brandon had been saying a few weeks ago. What it sounds to me like you have in Seattle right now, Brandon, to, you know, use a messy metaphor, you have like a gorgeous $5 million alpine skiing lodge and a Lamborghini. Those two things are awesome independently, but they don't really go great together. Like, it's like, well, I can't get my Lamborghini up to the lodge, and once I get there, it's all mountain and snowy. Can't really drive it. So, like, I'd like them both, but together they don't work. So folks will say, wait, but they did work. But that was when the Lamborghini was an ATV. That was when the Lamborghini was a young Russell Wilson, who was still brilliant and clutch and special, but not yet a fully formed MVP candidate. And that was when you did have the great defense. And so I think all of a sudden, this is becoming a story that was, or a problem that was like on a simmer, and it is quickly, Wilds, being turned up to a boil, and the lid's about to pop off. Because I don't think Pete Carroll is in the business of changing at near age 70, and Russell Wilson seems to be in the business of talking more in his mid-30s than we've ever heard before. So I don't know what the solve here is for Seattle.
Well, I think that Russ is trying to solve it via public pressure, right? So, Brandon, this seems like, because it's been so public, it is a breakdown of a private conversation. So I'll give you a quick example. If you were like, you know, after this, you're like, wow, stop wearing lapel pins. You know, that's my thing. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to. And then another time you send me a text like, yo, chill with the lapel pins. I'm like, no. And then if I see on, like, you know, a report, yeah, you know, I'm having fun on the show, hey, but Wild should get rid of those stupid lapel pins, the next day it would be, you know, gone. And I'd be like, oh, okay, if Brandon's serious about it, he's going to embarrass me publicly, then it's gone. So the fact that this is playing out, Brandon, I know you're saying he's such a great leader. It's if he wants either more power, he wants the protection, or if he wants to change the philosophy, it feels like since this private conversations has broken down, like, all right, I got one more, you know, lever to pull, and that's public pressure. And it seems a little more complicated. It seems like an outgrowth of, like, Keyshawn Johnson, like, throw me the darn ball. It's like, okay, hey. And then the next game, like, hey, you should probably throw Keyshawn the ball more. And it seems like Russ is doing sort of that at sort of a higher level.
Yeah, well, first, I don't think it has anything to do with power with Russ. I played with the guy. I trained with the guy. He's a phenomenal leader. You know, going in, there was a big question. There's always a question mark when these guys always say the right things and do the right things. Like, man, who is this dude? Is he all about building his brand? And what is he trying to sell us? But when you meet Russ and you really come into his circle, you really know, like, man, this dude is the real deal. So his intentions only comes down to one thing. He wants to be great. He wants to win a Super Bowl by any means necessary. So when you think about, you know, what you just said, talking about trying to take it to the media and handle this in public, well, first, that's not who Russ is. And that's why I led with, these things were already scheduled. Because of the Man of the Year award, the Walter Payton Man of the Year award, the NFL, the Seattle Seahawks set this stuff up a week or two ago. So it was just a perfect storm where Jason Lockenfora is the one that reported this. And then we responded to it. But, I mean, we did start the conversation a couple weeks ago. But what are you supposed to do if you're Russ? Like, right now, players know that they're... Go ahead, Nick.
No, listen, I have immense respect and admiration for Russ, and I know you know him personally.